I know what you're thinking. How is LSU going to compete with the best of the best in the SEC for a second straight year? Even Brian Kelly's wondering if LSU has what it takes to defeat Georgia.
We'll have a football roster that will be able to compete against Georgia. Is that right now? No, it's not.
LSU isn't far off from having a team capable of going toe-to-toe with SEC favorites, though. Let's be real. Look at the SEC Championship Media poll. 62% of the first-place votes were given to the Georgia Bulldogs. They're almost unanimous SEC champion favorites going into this year. Prior to that, Alabama had a 7-year streak of being named the SEC preseason favorites by the media. And you know what that's telling me? Is that they're picking the safest bet. When you have a team win back-to-back national championships, they're already off of a SEC championship season last year. That's probably where you want to put all the chips in. That seems to be the favorite. That seems to be the safe choice. I think for LSU to be able to successfully claim a SEC title, they're going to have to focus on three things. Three things that really hurt them last year. Number one being the little mistakes. You don't want to go out and have fumbles on special teams, not be able to get the extra point to tie the game and go to overtime that we saw in week 1. You don't want the O-line to be all over the place and have 6 different squads through 6 different weeks. But all in all, I think those issues have been dismissed. I think that LSU's more mature, a lot more experienced. I think the guys in the position of O-line, of quarterback, of the special teams, they know their roles a lot better. They're not thrown into the mix and expected to produce because, Brian Kelly going into last season didn't know much of what to expect. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know his offensive line that well. He didn't know his quarterback that well. There was things that he was just going to simply have to iron out through failure. Sometimes the best lessons are learned through trying, messing up, and not getting it done the right way. But you got to learn from them and turn them into positives. Another thing LSU is going to have to do, the second thing that bothered them a little bit last season on their SEC title game run was the consistency. They need to stay hot and keep pushing. Whenever they have that tough game, whenever they go through them rough patches, they're going to have to come together as a unit and perform. Look at after the Alabama game. They play Arkansas, 3-point win. Finish the year out, they go on the road against A&M, little bit of injury adversity. They get the loss. That loss to A&M, that really just slashed the tires on the LSU to the college football playoff bus. Before that game, it was possible. Matter of fact, it was looking probable. But that game, and that game specifically, ruined those chances. They need to play to their level this year. They don't need to play up when they go to Alabama, and they don't have to worry about, what's Nick Saban going to do? What's he going to throw at us? How are we going to be able to handle the situation? No, just play that LSU brand of football. Go in, do what you were taught, do the little things, and execute. Just calm down, stay hemmed in. I think if they don't play up or down to an opponent, they're going to be fine. LSU's got a pretty tough schedule in a sense where that SEC West is competitive. You're going to play Bama, you're going to play Auburn, you're going to play Ole Miss, you're going to play Arkansas, you're going to play Miss State, you're even going to get a crack at Florida. I think that, that stretch is going to be what tests this team, but all in all, it's also going to be what helps this team grow. I don't think you need to shy away from the tough games or the tough moments or just the tough times in life in general. I think you need to face them head on, go right through them, and show everybody you're not afraid of them. Something that LSU won't be able to necessarily control, however, the third thing that they need to keep an eye on closely will be the injuries. Injuries prohibited LSU in a lot of areas last year. The first one that's going to come to Tiger fans' minds is Mason Smith on the first drive of week 1. Very unfortunate injury. Another one is going to be the fact that Armani Goodwin went down. Then you're going to have to take into account the fact that Jaden Daniels was banged up. Look at the SEC title game. Even some games before that, he was prohibited with a back, a knee, and different things like that. I think that, it's mainly luck, but I'm hoping that LSU is going to be on the other side of that injury report this year. I hope a lot of the guys are going to be able to stay healthy. And, you want everyone at 100% just to avoid those depth issues, especially at a position like cornerback. LSU can't really afford to have some of their big guys go down like a JK or a Deuce or a Zai, because then they're going to have to go in and start a freshman or start someone that they weren't necessarily comfortable with starting. And in a position, one that Brian Kelly would compare to a leaky tire, I don't think that you want to do that. I don't think you want to expose the depth in an area where you're already vulnerable. So, it's not something that they're going to necessarily be able to control, but something that they're going to have to hope for and plan for and preach that next man up mentality just in case, unfortunately, a Tiger goes down and another Tiger's going to have to stand up. Look at last season with the Mason Smith injury. Mekhi Wingo steps right up, plays a great season. I think that this D-line grew from that type of setback, and that's what you want in your team. You want your team to be able to get hardened by these little experiences And another thing you want to remember is just keep in mind the point that LSU football is at right now. Brian Kelly saying what he said about, man, I don't know if we're going to be able to compete with Georgia. That's not discrediting his program at all. It's really just dialing back the expectations. It's alleviating some of the pressure off of his guys. He doesn't want to just go put pressure on them and be like, yeah, we're going here and we're getting a national championship too. Kim Mulkey in year 2, Jay Johnson in year 2, Brian Kelly's got it. I agree. I think he does have it, but when you're the head coach and you're at SEC Media Day and they're putting you in the hot seat and asking you to tell them what you think your potential is, it's kind of rough to want to put your team in the fryer and have the entire country waiting on that LSU-Georgia matchup. You just, Brian Kelly's a smart guy. He's going in here. He's trying to keep everyone tapped in to what the expectations should be. We're in year 1. We're ahead of schedule. We went to the SEC title game in the first 365 days with Coach Kelly in Baton Rouge. That's something that we need to take and be appreciative of and not necessarily take it for granted and just expect it. I think this season, they have a very good shot at it. They're going to have to stay hemmed in, focus on those 3 things. You want to focus on the little mistakes, the consistency, make sure everyone's healthy, and then you want to make sure that you're doing the best possible things to get your brand of football out there. You don't want to sit there and worry about, all the different little pieces that go along with a college football game. But all in all, I think LSU is going to be able to make a big crack at the SEC title game. I'm excited for this season. If you want to watch more exclusive LSU coverage, click right here. Listen to our interview with Jaden Daniels where we talked about a lot of things LSU football, Heisman, national championship, SEC title game, last season, and more. Give it a listen. Thanks for watching. This has been The Verdant Verdict.